Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Extra Hours, part of the officehours.global network. You can go and find out more at officehours.global/join. It'll get you an email every day, and you'll get very excited to come and be able to talk all about all things media production and geekery that is connected to such. My name's Grant Whitehead, and I'm sitting in Adelaide, South Australia. Excited to be trying to host this thing tonight as we have a bit of a discussion around some things that have happened. There's been a few announcements and then there's always some older questions. Now, quickly, we have a small panel, and part of that is because Carl hasn't been here for a few weeks, and so it could, if we're not careful, it could turn into the Carl show. Carl is also just down the hill from me in Adelaide. Hello, Carl. Welcome back.
Good morning, everyone. So it's a nice 16 degrees. Like winter just arrived in Adelaide, essentially. We went from air conditioner was on last week and now we're in winter, which is about 60 in the old money. So I've been busy, been recording a long-form podcast for a client. So I'm going again this Friday, but not today. So that's why I'm able to be on the show today. And I've bought some new cameras, so I can talk about them later on as well.
Oh, look at that. Well, I mean, it's been a bit of an unfortunate time for you not to be around. We had a massive F1 discussion on one of the shows, and then of course we've had the moon, the
Artemis
fly around the move. Yes, and so you could do probably a few hours just talking about that alone as well. 'Cause you're a bit of a space nerd as well. And so, yes, so we'll see what shorts we can get out of Carl today, because we've also had some announcements. In Hollywood, California, we have Courtney Gooden. Hello, Courtney.
Hello, Grant. How are things down under? Things
good.
up over are, pretty good here. We're having a lot of thunderstorms come through, up and over. Yeah,
That's a bit unique for LA.
Yeah,
Something different.
it could be another.
You're actually talking about the weather. It'd be
El Nino.
strange.
Yeah, I saw a lightning bolt for the first time in about 20 years this afternoon. So it was so exciting.
Wow. Well, what an exciting time it's been. To complete the panel is Guy Cochran up in Seattle, Washington. Hello, Guy.
Yeah, I'm just watching all these announcements flying out of Australia. We got news from ATEM. We got news from Blackmagic. Lots of news. So it should be an interesting discussion today.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, well, let's kick it off with the first question there, Courtney. What have we got?
All righty then. First one comes in from Mr. Robert Green in Los Angeles, California. How about that Blackmagic event? Shots fired at Lightroom? Who even remembers?
Right. Carl?
So obviously this is the 100G announcement. So as far as their connection, and this is really the pipeline they had to go. They had, of course, some 100G connections before, but there was the one missing piece, well, lots of missing pieces. The switches are interesting. So we could spend like 3 hours talking about all the announcements. The announcements actually went up for over 2 hours, and he went pretty fast. So obviously now they are talking about uncompressed. It sounds like uncompressed 12G via IP now. So even though they still support the IP10 Blackmagic format, he did mention that they're going to do 4K 60 uncompressed, which, because they can do that, that'd be 96 gig for 8 channels. Now, he did say it, but I don't know if that's true because this documentation still says IP10 for a lot of the stuff. So it doesn't really matter. To be frank, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so essentially they have pretty much.
That'd be 211020. Is that what that is?
Yeah, 2110-20 is the uncompressed flavors, which they do for everything up to 4K 60. It's only 4K 60 and 4K 50 that they give a little squish to. It's only a tiny squish. They bring 12 down to 10. Which is that's really what they're doing. Well, actually, they're bringing about 12 down to 9 to be more accurate. But it seems like they could still be doing that. But he did say uncompressed 4K 60 in the actual talk. But he could have just said it and maybe not meant it. But everything else, so all the other 4K flavors and all the 1080 stuff is 2110-20, which is the uncompressed, essentially the exact same bit rate or exact same bits as STI, essentially. as far as video is concerned. So 10-bit 422, that's the way of saying it, uncompressed. The audio stuff. So the Fairlight Live, that's a big one. That's a big shot across the bow of Ovation. So anyone who knows what Ovation does, this is like a massive install stuff. Like if you're in like Broadway. So Broadway, a lot of Broadway theaters will use, they use like Ovation or similar. They may not use Ovation. There is a, Avid has their own live box. So essentially it's a humongous workstation PC running a version of, essentially a live version of Pro Tools, let's put it that way. But Ovation is another one from Switzerland that does this a lot. So that's shot across the bow. It also goes right up against Studer, another Swiss company. So Studer also does live mixes for live, like broadcast trucks. So what would you find in the broadcast trucks? A Studer is one. I don't think it's going to really cannibalize the Behringer Wing. The Behringer Wing is very popular for this role as well, for broadcast in like a more low-cost broadcast truck. So the Behringer Wing is very capable at doing that amount of channels. But if you need way more channels, because what people don't realize is Fairlight is actually a hardware device. He doesn't talk about it. I don't think they've ever talked about it since the launch of the hardware device, but it's actually a $2,000 PCI card that goes in the back of a Mac Pro. It's no different. It's identical to Pro Tools. So from Avid, which is also a hardware device that goes in the back of a computer. The other big thing was high frame rate. So you could kind of kludgy do this already because I had FTP from the cameras. So you could actually set up an FTP server. As soon as you stop recording high frame rate, the camera would send its file directly to a media server, and you could put that straight into a playback system. So you could already do this already because certain cameras that could record ProRes at high frame rates, like they do their, I think it was 180 or maybe 120 or 160, depending on which camera you have. So there was a kludgy way of doing this. Now they're just doing it. Now they have a full pipeline via 100 gig Ethernet to do this high frame rate at 440 with the current cameras. So they obviously probably will have cameras in the works that may go higher than this in the future, but their current technology can do 440 using the B4 mount, which is 4.6. So 440 at 4.6K is probably the easiest way of saying it. Then the other really, really big announcement was you can now do photography editing in DaVinci Resolve. This may sound like the weirdest thing, but there's a lot of commercial photographers out there. So every product campaign you've ever seen, like think Coca-Cola, think pretty much anything that requires a photograph that's not AI at the moment, they're asking these photographers, these commercial photographers, to do video as well. So think about any cosmetics where you want to see like the cosmetics on a screen in the retail environment. At the point of purchase, you'll notice the products on the screen, but you also notice it's actually a short looping video, like maybe 15 seconds. And so, but they're also doing that under the same lighting conditions that they're doing the photography under. So the photographers are being asked to do 30 seconds of, water flowing down, whatever the client wants, but they want a 30-second video of the product. It's technically a still life product photography, but they've got movement. So now the big problem there was that pros were capture one for photography and DaVinci Resolve for mainly DaVinci Resolve because of the color. So you had to work in these two different pipelines to do the photography. Now you can do the photography and the video in the same color pipeline because there was no way of bringing DaVinci Resolve. So there was no way of doing the same color pipeline for both. And because brands want color specific, think like Tiffany's, they want very color specific match. It took a long time for commercial photographers to match these, people in post-production to match these two up. But now you can actually get the same baseline from essentially the same camera as well, but that's not really a problem. You get the same baseline, so essentially match up the video colors and match up the baseline of the photography colors. Then all the creative changes you make after that fact, you can simply just copy and paste essentially those nodes onto video and onto still, and they'll be exactly the same. And any changes you make to the still will automatically be made change to the video. So if the client goes, can we have the blacks like completely gone? I want to crush the blacks. You just crush the blacks in the video and it will change it for the photo as well. So that's massive. Yeah.
So you left out about immersive.
Well, I think there may, hopefully we can bring up another question later on because I'd rather not speak for like 20 minutes. So we'll talk about that later.
Come on, just regurgitate the whole thing, Carl. Come on. You can do it.
3 hours. No, that's good. Let's keep it at that. We'll come back.
If someone wants to put an immersive question in later, so I can let someone else speak for a little while, and then we can talk about the immersive stuff because there is a link to that, and we know a little bit about it already. It's an open secret what's happening there.
Guy, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, we could tag team on this stuff. So, as Carl was saying, DaVinci Resolve 21 public beta available now for a free download. Same with Fairlight Live. You do have to go into I believe the developer area to go grab that. The other announcement was the 12K LF 100G, $8,995. The CineImmersive 100G. This one actually got leaked a little bit ahead of time, $26,495, and now you got this module where you can go 100G. Constellation IP, $7,995. Hyperdeck ISO 100G, $4,995. It was cool to see him stack all this stuff up because if you watch the video, he was just stacking them on top of each other. So with that hyperdeck, so you record not to media like we've had in the past with SSDs and compact flash and all that. This would record to the Store Ultra for 48 terabytes, 8835, and they said a lot about subject to tariff, so we got to be a little careful about that stuff. And then the Media Dock Ultra, which is those big old modules that goes into the Immersive. And then if you still want to use SDI, there's this expander, 8x12G Studio Bridge, up-down cross, 100G Ethernet.
That up-down
switch
cross was
820.
interesting. The eight channels of up-down cross in a 2110 with the 100G.
Or 2 channels of immersive. Yeah.
Right. 2 channels of immersive.
So that's all the announcements. The Ethernet switch.
Was one
820.
thing. There was one little thing they announced, which was every ATEM that currently has webcam out will soon become an audio interface. That was the other thing. So it will now become an audio interface, a full-on USB, was it UVA compliant audio interface. That's a massive one. There is going to be one particular product, I think that's out in the wild, that a lot of people are going to be, maybe rental houses, not going to be happy with. This is a 4K 4ME Constellation. That is just that little bit too old that it doesn't have webcam out. So it does not get. So this is probably the most common one you find in rental houses, which is the 4ME 4K Constellation. Yeah. Because it doesn't have webcam out, it will not be getting the audio interface. So even though it has MADI in, but the Plus will, because the Plus is newer. So this is the 80 input that will have it. And essentially every ATEM that has webcam out has this, because it requires that webcam chipset inside the hardware to allow the computer to control via UVA essentially all the parameters inside the engine. So that's a little bit of a shame that obviously the 8K is very old. 8K Constellation is very old, so that's not going to have it. But the 4K, one of the most popular higher end Constellations, which is the 4K 4ME, it's not getting it, which is a bit of a shame. But the Plus will get it, which is the 80 input, and every other ATEM will get it that has a webcam out. Yeah.
All right.
Courtney?
The one thing Carl said something earlier, I noticed that the Fairlight Live, they say, is free download. There's the link right there. And it is, look at that, cross-platform, Mac, Windows, and both flavors of Windows, both 86 and the ARM versions. But one thing, it says enter a serial number. Carl, does that require a piece of their hardware in there, like either the controller or a DSP?
So that defines whether you're getting the Pro version or what I call the Studio version or the non-Studio version. But if it's not a required field, if it's not a required field, it
isn't. Okay.
Yeah, if it's not a required field, they may just be looking for marketing details.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the folks in this Facebook group that I'm a part of already has downloaded it and installed it. She's saying that I have updated it. The option disables the USB webcam and enables the USB audio and disables the internal Fairlight mixer. Says we could finally have a headphone on the Pro. And these are some of her screenshots that she's already put up.
Yeah.
External audio active.
And it supports a awful lot of input channels. What was it? 160 or something.
Supports whatever the ATEM supports, essentially. So whatever the ATEM can handle, because Grant said that as well. He said that if the amount of channels is dependent on the hardware. So obviously a 4-input ATEM Mini Pro
what your
will support probably about 10 channels.
Whether you're using 100 gig,
Oh, yeah.
2110, or if you're sending. One thing is it doesn't support Dante anywhere, does it? I didn't hear the D word
It doesn't need to.
mentioned. Well,
Because
not
they
if
use
you
MADI.
have a 2110 network, installation, but if you're using for somewhere else.
Well, they don't need to, because 2110. So Dante is just a wrapper for AES67, and 2110 is also a wrapper. Well, 2110-30
Right,
is
but everything else,
AES67.
you
It's
have
exactly
to
the
have
same.
a whole 2110 setup for everything.
Nearly
else,
every
though,
box, nearly every box that does Dante now, nearly every box that's been made in the last 2 years that supports Dante, essentially it's a Brooklyn card, can now transmit 2110-30. So that's not a problem, because every Dante box that's been made in the last
over 10 gigabit.
Well, that doesn't matter. It can be over gigabit, because it's only audio.
Right.
But it essentially just pumps it into the same network, and then your 2110 can subscribe to that. It shows up as 2110-30, and so you can simply subscribe to it. As like, and this is the whole thing they don't talk about is the whole software layer underneath how you subscribe to stuff via computer. But
so
yeah,
you
can simply subscribe to
it with your Dante virtual sound card. Then can you subscribe to the 2110 data flow and convert it back to Dante then on the receive side?
Well, you can route it. So you can use the 2110 software in a computer to say, hey, send this to this, and that's it. It'll go. So this is a whole 2110-30. It's a whole world unto itself. And 2110-30
might be oversimplifying that, though. It's not like it's just
it's not plug and play. It's not
compatible.
SDI.
Yeah. No.
It's not SDI. So this is the difference between baseband and
Dante,
IB.
Yeah, but I'm saying that network at 2110 and Dante are not just interoperable right now.
No, they're not. But you can have Dante hardware transmit, instead of it's transmitting a Dante signal, you can actually transmit 2110-30. But you have to do that in that Dante hardware. All the modern Brooklyn cards, the Brooklyn 3 cards, have the ability, because it could already, in the past, the Brooklyn 2 cards, the Brooklyn 1 cards could transmit AES 67 natively. You can actually switch it on, but it's just a broadcast.
But on the other end, you can't go back from 2110 to Dante, though.
No.
The other direction.
No. So essentially all you're doing is your Dante equipment is just now broadcasting one direction, 2110-30.
But in theory, though, you would Fairlight Live would see DVS, right? Like as in, why wouldn't it?
It'd be a source that shows up on the drop down.
That's exactly right.
Correct.
So you can do it in the box. Rather than doing it in Blackmagic hardware, you do it inside the computer.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You can have it as a source. You just see it as a source. Yeah.
Well, that's all going to be very interesting, though, kind of, because it also made a note of doing the aggregate devices. And so if you're aggregating an ATEM and DVS, essentially you've got all these inputs coming in, and then being able to route the program of Fairlight Live back out to the ATEM. That's the way that they made it sound, which now means that in an ATEM Extreme, you're recording sort of mixed audio. It's kind of a way of getting balanced audio in. Right, you can now get balanced.
You can come in through a normal audio interface
and record it
even a Dante stage box. So you could use the Dante stage box, come into the computer, it talks to Fairlight Live, and Fairlight Live would then send it out to the video world to go on from there. Yeah, so you're
doesn't
right.
This also mean it doesn't mean that the ATEM Extreme ISO is now a multi-track audio device that can be mapped, that can be patched.
Yeah, he said that. He said that in certain ATEMs that support routing, you can control the routing from the computer. So yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's all very interesting. I mean,
but in the ISO recordings, they're just recording. Are they recording all the channels embedded in the 16 inputs?
Not
16 channels?
16.
32.
It'd be 8. 8's the highest we have now.
8 only. Okay.
Well, technically, it's 16 channels because it's stereo. Technically,
Yeah,
so
eight stereo.
I don't know.
8 stereos. Yeah, 16 channels. But
I don't know. We're guessing a little bit.
I don't know. I know what you're saying is, can you map from the computer
SDI
back to an ISO and record?
Yeah.
It depends. That depends on how the audio has been treated. So if it doesn't do it now, it will do it later because someone will do a software
It might
update
be
on that
program
machine.
only. It might be program only. Like
That's true. Yeah, program only will
back to
definitely
the
get recorded
program
by the
bus.
computer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think maybe they could be directly tapped off from the inputs themselves.
Yeah.
But not the G2. The G2 doesn't have that problem. So maybe the only thing is the Extreme G2 is a unique beast. I reckon that one could do it out of all of them. And the HD8 ISO is also the same. The reason why is because it can record ISOs from IP connections, not from baseband. So that's a whole. Those two particular switches are unique beasts. They live in their own category, not like anything else, because they're IP-based switches. Yeah. Well, until right now, until we have these humongous IP-based switches, which are a completely different thing altogether. But as far as previous IP-based switches that are currently available, those two would be the ones where you may be able to record multi-channel from a computer back to the hardware.
Yeah. So as I watched the whole thing, I was kind of bored for the first half of it. I was really just like, what is this world? Like, who is the client for this? Because it was really just like
sports trucks and things like that, for
maybe
2110.
Well, I could see it instantly. So I was looking at, I knew exactly what event this would go towards. Right. One of the events would go towards. Yes. I was like, that fixed that problem. That fixed that problem. All the problems I was thinking about having these events.
Yes.
Yeah, but I really, I was like, this is a big investment into this world. And I was just, I was thinking, is there really a massive market for this? And so then if you sit back and go, if you've got no infrastructure now, you're starting out, single camera, I mean, it's just kind of like Triax back in the day.
It's awfully expensive, though. All this stuff, goes up into the $20,000. It adds up.
It's not for small productions. It's not for like a small 3-camera production. So not really aimed at.
Once you commit to the 2110 and 100 gigabit Ethernet switches and fiber everywhere, then
everything, like minimum price for everything was $2,500, regardless of what the product was. Yeah.
One nice thing I did notice is that they changed the airflow processing front to back, which
I like that.
Their airflow processing in the past has been side to side and coming in one side and blowing into the thing that's next to it. So
it tells you where this stuff is going to be installed.
It was a really bad design, but now it's front to back. I noticed they have modular built-in dual power supplies in everything.
Yeah, on everything.
So that you can have 2 sources of AC power. So one goes
or
down,
4 on that.
Switch over.
On that.
Yeah, 4 on
the jumbo.
Yeah. Just keep your fingers.
Who had on their bingo card that he would put up a switcher that was 1 cubic foot on a Lazy Susan.
Yes. It needed to have a chair swivel on it so that you could get to the back.
So sort of as I watched it, I was just like, okay, here's just like this ecosystem that's now, okay, so now we've got 100 gig, so now we've got to do this at 100 gig, and this thing needs to be 100 gig, and you want to do some conversion, or here's a box that just does conversion, doesn't really do in and out. In a sense it does, but it's on a network. It's like, here's a little processing device that just sits on the network and does the up down, and so some of that was just like, wow, you're just adding, so you've got no control on the front. Here's another $1,500 for a controller to sit in the rack, just to be able to push some buttons. So I was kind of like, I don't quite get this. But I don't know if someone actually asked the question yet, but essentially we're getting to the immersive part, because at least what happened for me is then it was sort of, okay, so now we need 100 gig, because when I was at NAB last year and I looked at the immersive camera, a thing that I asked straight away is, I was like, can you get 8K out of it? No, it's sort of SDI, 10G, you get 10G, so then you could do 4K. Can you do 2 eyes at 4K? And I think out of the 2 SDIs you can, like you can do a 4K per eye at 16:9, and so and so he was explaining too that 4K frame, kind of 4K by 2K in a sense, as a 16:9 frame, but actually what you need is 8K per eye and you need it to be 8K by 8K, essentially a square frame, which is even larger than a 16:9. So it was like,
and you need it to be 90 frames a second. As he said, it was
90
instead of
it's
60.
a massive jump to be able to go to that. But then clearly there's also this live process that it just wasn't quite spelled out in the end, but you could see all the dots connecting, that it was like, okay, so now have a bunch of these immersive cameras around, all pumping into that switcher, but having to have a bunch of up-down converters to squash it down a little bit to be able to do the live. And then I'm just so excited about immersive. It's making me sneeze. So then to be able to go live, we're not even talking about distribution at this point, and what we would have.
You didn't say anything about distribution. That's right.
Yeah, without like having to live stream that.
But I think the client's handling the distribution, so they don't need a Blackmagic. They need to worry about that. I think the client's got a credit box for Blackmagic to hook into their system.
You know what? Alex Lindsay probably hasn't even got time to be watching us, but if he is, he must be eating popcorn and going, "You kids, you kids,
you have no idea what's coming."
You got no idea. He must be all over this, but it really was, as a Vision Pro owner, and I've been trying to watch this space a little bit, and the thing that has been most interesting to me is live immersive. And so for sport, and so this is where Apple comes in, and so when we're talking about Apple, Formula One, and Carl, you can talk a little bit to this, but see how succinctly you can do it. But it's tying in Apple and F1. If you stood back and went, what is a really good sport to show in full immersive? It's kind of this high end.
And in which city would you show it off in? That's the other thing too.
Vegas.
Which American
Vegas?
city? Yeah, which American Vegas? Yeah.
Yeah.
Vegas at night. Yeah, look at me.
Under lights?
Yeah, well, because it's at night time. That's right. It's under lights.
So
it'd look, because they'd have to worry about the sun. They'd have to worry about crazy dynamic range for this first event, because nighttime is much. This is why people may remember the very first time that Apple did an event using the iPhone as a main camera. It was a nighttime event. They'd have to worry about crazy, the sun essentially. I'll speak to a little bit what Grant was talking about there. So it's no secret here that, and they've even got it on the website now. So if you go to the new Immersive Blackmagic website, you scroll down, you'll see the Vision Pro. It's the only device shown there, it's the only non-Blackmagic device shown. They're showing the Vision Pro working with it. So Apple has the rights to Formula One broadcast in the United States. Liberty Media has a very close tie. So Liberty Media, which owns Formula One, has very close ties to Apple as well. And it's no secret that they wanted the Vision Pro, because there is one app that came out on the Vision Pro when the Vision Pro was released like years ago, that's in test flight mode and has never been squashed. And this is the full F1 experience. So you can watch all the F1 inside of a test flight app within the Apple Vision Pro. And it's like, that would not fly. That would normally be shut down by F1 unless F1 were allowing it. And it's just some dude created the app. It's just some dude's name attached to it. No Apple F1's attached, just some dude who's a developer. So obviously Apple have been testing this out for a while, having Formula One inside the Vision Pro. Now, the thing is, they need a live pipeline, obviously. So this is why the thing that gave it away was when Grant said we're going for the big switcher. That was a big cubic foot switcher that he showed off.
Yeah.
The reason why they're making that one first is because he said the client needs that one first. He says there's an event coming up where we need this one first. Now it has 32 inputs. So 32 inputs is, and if you know anything about Formula One, they have 25 cameras trackside at fixed positions. So that fits in within that workflow. So this will be a trackside thing. So 32 is perfect amount of number for Formula One because they currently use around 25. This is 25 cameras that are not like installed cameras, like not in the helmets, not on the cars, not in the curbs, that kind of stuff. But so the thing is, we know there are three, this is an open secret, there are 3 US Grand Prix coming up. The next one in Miami, which we believe will probably be the shakedown for this equipment, just to make sure it all works at a real event. Then Austin, which I think we may see some, I don't know if we'll see it in the public, but it'll definitely be shown around the industry. So they'll get some footage at Austin and do a whole nother probably dress rehearsal. And maybe the first one that goes live or the first one where they record everything and show it to us will be Vegas. So this equipment, they want this up and running by Vegas. And like you heard, the time frames for a lot of stuff was June, July. Now Vegas is right at the end of the year. So it gives them a lot of lead time, like in November. So it gives them a lot of lead time to get to Vegas. And Austin, I believe, is in like August or September, or I think it's around August, Austin or September. So that'll be the dress. But Miami is the first one, which is in about a month's time. So Miami will be the shakedown, which we're not going to hear anything from that. That'll all be just internal testing from Miami, most likely. But these are the three events. The reason why they're only doing US Grand Prix is because they don't want this equipment going in and out of the US, because any country can just hold it up in customs. And this happened to Sky Sport.
Have to pay the tariffs all over again. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, it was a massive problem for Sky Sport. All their broadcasting equipment, they tried to get it into the country, into one of the countries, and the government there said, no, you're going to have to pay us a bribe essentially to get your broadcast, because they know they need it. And so that particular country just knew they would pay the bribe to get the stuff released out of customs. So that's what they're worried about, is any American company trying to get into another country right now, they just may go, we're going to charge you like $2 million tariff just to get this stuff in because we can, because we know you need it. So we know you'll pay it straight away. So they're doing all the US ones. And it also enables NDAs, because NDAs are country-based. So the 3 US Grand Prix make a lot of sense for this kind of stuff. Hopefully we do see, if it's not live from Vegas, we'll see recordings from Vegas where you can go in and relive the experience from Vegas if they're not ready. But I'm hoping that will happen in Austin. So I'm hoping the Austin Grand Prix will be the one where you can relive the experience. The clips won't be the whole thing.
Did that switcher allow ISO recording, or are they just going to record on each individual camera?
Yeah, so the ISO, because it's all on the network. So it's not just it's not a point-to-point, it's network. So you can have the feed going to an ISO recorder and the feed also going to the switch. It's not, this is a difference between, this is where IP is very different from like a SDI. SDI, you need to use a router to turn a 1 into 2, but IP just does it automatically from a switch.
Do any of their recorders record immersive?
Yes. So he said that the recorders have 2 inputs, and the reason, and these are the high. So he talked about these recorders initially for high frame rate. So he said, these recorders can do high frame rates, yada yada. We have 2 inputs, and then when he did the immersive studies, he says he can also do 2 immersive records as well. So yes.
Yeah, but he did explain though that because he was talking about a bandwidth restriction in going into the switcher, because it still is on only 100 meg, I was going to say. It's only a 10 base T. No, it's only 100 meg, 100 gig connection going into the switcher. And so if you are wanting to bring in a high frame rate, camera, you're going to blow through, even though you've already got some cables, Guy.
He did say,
but what he was explaining though is that you could go to the recorder, and then go to the what he's showing, Guy, just a cable.
So
that's the fiber connection.
Then you go to the down.
Gigabit.
You could go to the processor, the up-down cross converter.
That's if you're doing the high frame rate,
and push that out to a source.
So he mentioned 2 of these. So the high frame rate one was, I want to use high frame rate, but I want to use it in programs. So I want it to be 60. So they have the up-down cross can accept a high frame rate and spit out 60, and also spit out high frame rate to the recorder. But the other thing that he talked about, and this is the where he said there's still a limitation even with 100 gig, was the immersive camera. So the 8x8 times by 2, so 8K by 8K times by 2 is still greater than 100. So what they've got is, if anyone remembers this, a short-lived product was the Apple Afterburner card. And it's returned. So the Afterburner card, and this is how you know it's Apple's the customer, because they've got what they're calling the Blackmagic Ursa live encoder. So this goes into where the recorder goes into the camera normally, where essentially the solid state media would go, and this does. And this is an Afterburner card. This is So it turns it into a live. But what it's doing is it's taking it down to ProRes. Now, only one company has the ability to just give Blackmagic ProRes, and only one company's ever made a device that does this. It's called the Afterburner. So if you Google it, look up Afterburner card, you'll see it. It was a $3,000 card. And this is simply using 1 core of that card. So it was $3,000 for 2 cores. This is using a single core of the Afterburner card. and it's doing the in real time conversion of the raw data coming off the sensor and converting it to ProRes, and then that ProRes now fits into 100 gig pipeline, and then it sends.
That's
out
true. You give up onboard recording because your converter, your encoder,
it's live camera. So studio cameras don't have
for the live camera. Yeah,
So studio cameras don't have onboard recording anyway, because that's the whole point. So none of the cameras that are currently beside an F1 track can record. None of them can. They don't have any ability to record anyway. So no change.
All right, Guy.
And then
you've
it
kept
could go
very
to the
quiet over there.
I just want to learn about NMOS, and I want to learn about all this new crazy control. As he's explaining it, I'm just like, man, this picture is worthless without all the further detail that goes into how it all works, because it's so new to me. And I know people like Mickey in the chat have had experience with it, but I feel lost. I'm such a baseband and NDI guy, and of course there's not going to be any NDI in that world. And so I'm excited to go to NAB and actually get my hands on it and see behind the scenes and see how you route. And I mean, you could do it if you have their ecosystem, but what is it? Does it play nicely with others? Is it a standard 2110 or so? I think I got a lot of learning to do, and I wish that one of the vendors would come into like after hours and just train us. I mean, I'm going to try to find somebody like that. If it's Matrox or anybody, if their reps will just be willing to come in and off the record, come in and help school us, because this stuff's so expensive.
Just about that, Guy, for NAB, you're going to be on the walking the floor. Blackmagic is sort of notorious about not doing live interviews, although we've snuck a couple in before. It could be that we put together a list of questions that we just will ask you to ask for us, and then you could, sort of report back to us, right? Like, and so, and just while we're talking about that, what's sort of the plan at the moment about coverage of NAB?
Well, it all just changed. Now I think I need Meta glasses, and I'm just going to go in there undercover.
Oh.
What was that you said?
I can't see you. I just need to get a bit closer. You say that a bit louder.
So at Blackmagic, does NDI stand for not doing it?
Yeah. But is the plan to do some after hours kind of stuff?
Yeah, today we met up in after hours with Omar and Jack Cannon. Jack Cannon has some of the heavy iron, and I'm kind of tempted to bring a easy rig down there. Somebody has a Ronin 4D that we might be able to use, nice. But then it opens up this big can of worms as to, can we now go into the Blackmagic booth? Because now we've got all this heavy iron, and they're going to be like, well, where's your... We need our PR people to come and stand with,
Right.
So there's only certain people that are allowed to talk to press. So bringing in the small little action cam that Omar has that goes Bella Box, which is a little SRT bonding device that fits in a Tupperware container in a backpack. That's how we pushed it last year. And that works well. Yeah. So he tested the live view, the solo, the baby one, and it was putting 1.5 seconds of latency, and then he's basically transmitting it to vMix, and then vMix can push it back into after hours. So we get the benefit of cellular bonding, but one's 1.5 seconds, which is the live view, and the Bella Box will do a little faster at 1 second. So he was showing us some screenshots that he had taken. So he's prepping. We're probably just going to go little DJI mics and try to keep things simple. But Jack's already preparing for war, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Because Tenacious Ventures, a local company, said they loaned me the easy rig. So if we get the Ronin, we get the easy rig, then it starts to become a thing. So we got a few more days to figure it out. But we got to figure it out quick now.
Do you think you can locally record as well? Is that a possibility in that rig?
If it's the Ronin, because I was just planning on taking the audio out. Yeah, we'd have to figure out how to get the audio back into it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, at least one of the things I'd love to see is some is recording in after hours. I know we don't do a lot of that. But yeah,
have at it.
I think
New sheriff in town, go for it. I say go at it.
The CEO said it. I heard him say it. He said it.
I'm on the record saying go at it. Go at it.
It'd be best if you were the one who pressed record, Guy. So I'd be happy with that, as long as Guy's the one that presses record. So at the moment, if Guy's the one that presses record, and that's fine.
Nah, this material, we could put a little recording in progress. I mean, it says it, but we could tell people, hey, whatever you say can be used against you in the court of law.
That's right. Exactly.
Can be used against you in the court of law.
That's right. We've got the body cams. But yeah, that would be important, particularly for us on the bottom side of the world, where it could be overnight for us that you might be doing some stuff, and so to be able to go back and even if it's just the long form video that we can scrub through and and be able to see, I think that'd be great. And I mean, at that point, it might as well be live streamed to YouTube out of after hours.
Well, that's the concern, is just, we're a professional organization, because even the Creator Lab, they're offering us up 3 cameras that are bird dogs. And I had some concerns about the quality of these lower end bird dogs being pushed to the office hours channel. So they granted us full on permission to use these Creator Lab sessions on our channel. They want us to. They wanted to, because we have 9,000 subscribers, but it's a powerful channel, and so NAB blessed us with this capability if we want to take it on. It's just one of those things where I got to see it to believe it, because I'm used to using UE 150s and it has a certain look, and I know the trade show floor can be kind of, if you don't light it, it can be a little not so polished. And if we're going to be doing those for 3 days times like hours, I would rather have a higher end camera, and it doesn't look like we're going to get the higher end camera. So if we record locally, then they could look a little more spectacular, because we could grade them a little bit more, because we could record them in ProRes. And so I think that's probably the better way to go: record them and then upload them after the fact. But we'll live stream them definitely into after hours, into a breakout room. So if you want to watch them. Yeah.
Omar's in the chat as well, and said that he was asking Blackmagic about the Black Crush last year, and the engineer followed him and had to have his camera turned off first, which is consistent with what we've found. And fair enough. Blackmagic is a big company. They got to manage the brand and all of that. They have to be careful. But there'll be certain questions that'd be great to ask, and then you can stand in front of the booth and give all the answers. You can do that.
And so then they will have to crush your camera.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from Blackmagic, but all of that to say that it is a very interesting sort of world at the moment in that, and it started to make sense, as Carl said, like when he was smart enough to know right from the start where that was all going. For me, I was just like, I don't get this, and then it sort of okay, so now you had to sort of backfill the whole ecosystem to be able to get to the 32 camera switch at 100 gig each.
To the immersive, but I think it's a whole paradigm shift to 2110 for their whole, their whole infrastructure is moving up to that.
It is for certain size applications. It definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess the interesting thing I said before, it was kind of like SMPTE cables and triacs, like back in the day, just, plug in and there's the power and everything and away you go. And it's kind of like that, at least at 10G. 100G, obviously we can't transmit power over glass yet. And so you are powering that separately, and then there's, so Guy, have you got one of the, have you got a 100 gig cable there, or is that?
No, it looks almost the same though. This is a DAC cable for 20. No, this one's 10 gigabit. So the next level up is 25 gig. It's a little skinnier, but I was just holding it up because it's the same color, same idea. That's your new transport mechanism out of the camera. So it'll look like this with a big old silver end, and then another one at the other side. So he was plugging them all in, and it was firing up pretty quick. But he did say something was going to take a while to configure, and I was like, "What is that?" Like, so it's got me super curious. Yeah, as to what is that handshake.
I think the point was that he was waiting until he had the switch in place, to be able to plug them all in, because he couldn't do that until he had that. I was kind of impressed that, obviously it was all configured, right? Everything was all configured already. And I did notice that even when he plugged in the studio camera behind him, that was already going to line. It was already on program, and you could see it on the program view on the ATEM, on the switcher. And so as he plugged everything in, it was just like, okay, it's in demo mode, but it was pretty fast. Like all of those things, plugged them all into the switch, and you saw them all light up. I thought it was super weird right at the start when he's like, "Oh, we'll do this later." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, is this not a demo?" And so I was at least happy to see that
you don't have to cook it in front of us. You could have it already baked.
I'm just going to plug the power in so you can hear the fans turn on, and that's going to be the demo. It's like, what? But at least when he did plug it all in and they were interconnecting and you could see it all going through, it did make a bit more sense.
Actually, maybe Carl could answer this, because I had a question. If you have that 12K camera and you're sticking a B4 lens on it with a 2/3 inch image circle, you're basically using that adapter to expand.
It's not a 2/3.
Isn't the lens, the B4s are 2/3, right?
The B4 adapter is an optical adapter.
So it stretches it back out to fill the frame, 16. But it makes it soft, right? I mean, you're not going to have
Super 16. So it's the same. They've had the same since the Ursa Mini 2. So going way back to the 4.6K. So they've had that. They've had it in the broadcast. The broadcast G2, and now they've got the B4 mount for the Ursa Cine. Be the Ursa Cine proper 12K. And the Ursa Cine 100, so which is 12K, but it's 12K for the full sensor. So it's actually using a Super 16 size part of the sensor, which is 4.6K. So it's 4.6K. That's the image circle of the B4 lens. We hit a 4.6K, which is all they need because it's live. They're not going to go anything above 4.6K, with the exception of the Immersive, of course. The Immersive is 8K by 8K, but other than that, that's a unique case. But yeah, it's 4.6K is the image area that they're hitting, and then they'll simply just bring it down to 4K 60, 4K at 440 frames per second, 440 frames per second. He said for that particular camera, but the system can handle 480, but they don't have a camera that can currently do 480. That's all.
And does that B4 adapter pass all the lens control and metadata?
Oh no, they're using Hiroshi's for that. So they've got a special little Hiroshi box that converts a 7 pin to 20. So the old G2, the broadcast had the 12-pin Hiroshi. The broadcast G2 had the 12-pin Hiroshi, but the Cine doesn't. The Cine has a 7-pin, which is designed for cinema lenses and controlling of fizz systems. So what they've done is they've got a box that converts a 7-pin Hiroshi, which is just commands, converts it to a 12-pin, which is general for broadcast lenses. He showed this little box that goes between the lenses. Yeah, right. So the camera does have the connection for it. You can also hook it up to you can also do this anyway, to a focus and zoom controller on tripod arms. So that's already supported by Blackmagic as well. So that's all there. So everything's there. I'm interested to see the 440 frames a second because that's into and pretty much that's kind of, if we want to talk about another paradigm that they've kind of taken away from, so EVS is now. That was it. So pretty much this was EVS they've been cutting away at EVS's kind of product for a while now, for a couple of years. But this is the announcement now, because there was a few missing pieces, and one of the missing pieces was slow-mo, which EVS has added to their product line. It wasn't originally there. And the fact that he did talk about frame interpolation, so they can turn 440 into 880, so which EVS can do. They have a product. EVS has a product that can do this. So it looks like they're going to get DaVinci. It's going to do this in real time, or they're going to have a box that will do it in real time. And it simply it inserts a frame in between every real frame. Which, as I said, EVS has had this product for a few years now.
All right. Since we're on Carl, this next question here. Courtney,
all right.
It's an important one.
Yes, there's been a change in the lineup. Andre Delay from Berlin asked Carl, how can you be such an incredible encyclopedia? Do your days have 48 hours, or is it just your brain operating at 10x? Impressive again and again and again. Yes, sir.
Oh, does your day have
So,
48
Is it
hours?
all those energy drinks you drink?
No, actually, I drink iced coffee. I don't drink energy drinks, but I do drink iced coffee. So I know it's popular in the northeast of America. So the books behind me aren't decorations. So these ones on screen left, these are some of the making of Star Wars, but the books directly behind me, they're all mainly science and history books. And then I've got some DVDs and CDs on the other side. So I do read a lot. I do read a lot about history and stuff, but like when I was watching Grant there, I watched him at one time. So this is another thing as well. So if you want to absorb, I've watched him at one times, not 1.5 times or 1.75, whatever people do, because your brain won't absorb it. Your brain will just absorb less. Yes, you'll get the dot points, but you absorb. But I watch him really carefully. And if he says something, I go back. So it's all the little things he says that are kind of, technically they'd be off script because it's rehearsed and it's kind of scripted. It's the little things that he says in between stuff that are like, okay, now I understand where it's coming from. Like the fact that the Afterburner card is now, the card they're using for the media encoder for the immersive camera. The fact the Afterburner card has been around for like 6-7 years now, and Apple developed it. They spent a lot of money developing it, and it never really got used. And the fact that obviously Blackmagic, one of Blackmagic's big customers for the immersive camera, is going to be Apple, and Apple has just given them the essentially all the work that they did on the Afterburner card, and they're now just putting that into this media encoder, so they can squish down. That's the whole point of they can squish down the data rate using ProRes into a 100 gig pipeline, which is really cool. But I just simply absorb stuff at one time. So that's probably the easiest way of doing it, and I read stuff carefully. If I go, I like to go for walks.
White papers and stuff as well. You got to be right.
I occasionally read white papers, not all the time. White papers is only like I read both the patent papers, so the patent lodgements for the 12K sensor from Blackmagic, the original one, which was
Didn't we all?
635. And then, well, it's fascinating because they're doing some interesting stuff. As a photographer, I want to know how they're doing the color science, and I by reading those papers, I understood how they're doing the color science, and I understand how they're doing like raw at different resolutions at full frame, which other companies can't do. But yeah, so all this kind of stuff, and I'm interested in it. If you're interested in it, you absorb it really quickly, and it kind of retains. Plus, I just have a broad interest in many different categories, and they do like the fact that I'm interested in media production and I'm interested in F1. There's really a synergy happening right now, of course.
Yeah,
but it's always been there. So you can notice. I think people are going to really notice the synergy now because Apple has the rights to it in the US, and because Liberty Media are happy to play in that world, whereas in the past it was just very straightforward, like almost like horse racing. Broadcast for F1 was no different than the broadcast for a horse race, where it had a replay at the end and stuff like that, but nothing, So those synergies for me mix as well. And also when I like to go for walks, I generally sometimes listen to a podcast, sometimes I don't, especially if it's an afternoon walk. I just don't listen to anything. So it's kind of like I switch off and I can just think of like what I've thought about in the day or what I've read in the day. That's another way to retain information is to actually give yourself some board time. It's called board time. So where you're actually not doing anything, you're just thinking about what you've ingested. And some people do this on the drive home from work. They don't listen to anything. They just think about the work day if they have to. With me, I work from home predominantly if I'm editing, but obviously when I'm doing my work photography or now doing a lot of video work, obviously I'm out of the house and I'm flat out. So I don't have time to think when I'm doing that kind of job. I'm just thinking 100% focused on the job. But take time to enjoy life at one time speed. That's probably what I'd say.
That's a good one. Yeah, there's a reason that Carl hasn't got any hair on the top of his head. It's because his brain is using all the energy, and so it doesn't get to the hair follicles.
Pushed it all out.
When Carl goes for a walk, all you hear is processing.
I'm wearing a hat. I ain't getting sunburnt out there.
Yes.
The Australian sun is... But that's kind of what it is. Some people happen in twilight, so before they go to sleep. With me, I like to go for an afternoon walk, and that's when I process what's happening in the day and everything I've ingested.
Good one. All right, still a couple more quick questions about the Blackmagic. We couldn't get away from it.
All right. The next one comes from Alexander Knight in Port Coquitlam in Canada. He says, I'm still processing the information-dense Blackmagic live stream from NAB this morning to focus on audio. The new Fairlight mixer app and the new hardware control surfaces look slick. What do you think?
Yeah. Courtney, what's your take on it?
I think it do look slick. They have these three different versions of the hardware interfaces, starting at just $2,415, which is about the price of a good standalone mixer. Although this is just an interface, your computer is going to have to be doing all the processing here and doing all the plugins. They have a 10, a 20, and a 40, which is down here for $8,000. But they're all kind of just a multiplication of the 10 times 4 and times 2 and times 1. So the layout is similar to all of them. So it looks interesting. They all have motorized faders, and so that's cool. And they all interface with Fairlight Live software. So that's nice too. And they also have HDMI outputs, which is cool, so that you can drive a big screen. You can plug it into a 50-inch panel above you if you want to see something. Keep your head up and take a look at stuff, or put it into a multi-view.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by it because, I've done a fair bit of audio mixing myself and used lots of different mixers and the different interfaces. And the thing that has struck me more recently is that I tend to find the iPad apps for the mixers to be more intuitive than the board itself. And when I'm searching for a particular thing to do, I often can find it on the iPad easier than I can hunting through their menus and things. When I look at the Fairlight interfaces on those surfaces, it looks really slick and clean. Like, I really like that layout. The design is really nice. So it's one thing for them to have inherited or to acquired Fairlight and all of this amazing processing and all of that. But for them to have the design, like it takes some courage to take a step like that and say, this is the way we're going to now design the tracks. There's lots of things that are consistent.
Also, that's that screen is a touch screen too.
Yeah.
So that's a touch screen in addition to the controls, the hard controls that you have on the front. So you got all the additional functionality of the screen that changes depending upon what channel you're looking at or what mode you're looking at, and then it's also a touch screen. So it's handy. It's kind of like having the iPad app on top of the regular hardware interface.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And
but wait, no cloud.
It's going to be interesting for remote. What's that?
There was no cloud announcements. It just dawned on me that Carl had said that there was going to be some cloud announcements. Come on, Carl.
Yeah, so there was no cloud, which means they are 100% into what this one customer wants. So it looks like they may. This is why the cloud may be delayed, because a certain customer of theirs has said, "Hey, we need you to focus on this 100% right now, please." So I reckon.
And they sell hardware. I mean, when you sell physical goods, you could just say high data rate, 100 gig this, 100 gig that. Now they're selling hardware. They sell widgets. So I mean.
Yeah, I think those, because they're in where are they, in Fairmont, in California. That's where Blackmagic's kind of development team are. And so I have a feeling, because Fairmont is just down the road from one of their clients, and I have a feeling that Fairmont team has been working double time on making sure that everything we saw today is going to be ready. And maybe the cloud has just been put slightly on the back burner. We know it's still out there in private beta, the cloud stuff. We know people out there using it, but not for public consumption just yet.
Your sound's breaking up again, Carl. It might be
So there's a street sweeper right outside.
Oh, okay.
Down the street.
That'll do it. It was Zoom's like, I can't do it. I can't hold it back anymore. It's breaking through. I do. When I got to speak to Grant at NAB last year, and just for a little bit, I asked a couple of questions, and then it was kind of like he's kind of like Jesus, and everyone just all stands around and listens to him on the Sermon on the Mount. It's kind of what happens. People just kind of gravitate towards him, and so he was talking about data center, and he was like, there's so much data processing that we're doing already in our hardware. We've worked out how to do that. So making a data center is actually quite straightforward for us. We just put a bunch of this processing power that we've already got into a data center, and we can do cloud, and we build our own cloud. And it was how he was talking about the cloud storage and stuff as well, and the processing that they're doing with that. They've built everything that runs all of that, which is pretty cool, the type of stuff. So I'm sure that'll come back around. It won't go away.
The new media dock, the the new recorders media dock go to the new type of interface with the dual SSDs.
So essentially there's two NVMe drives.
Two NVMe drives on a removable
inside.
caddy.
So inside that unique kind of proprietary
caddy
media, is really what it is, the hardware media, is two NVMEs, which they showed off when they launched it a couple of years ago when they launched the original Ursa Cines. It's just got a high bandwidth. It can do ridiculously high bandwidth recordings.
Yeah, I need to. All right, last question, which kind of ties in on Blackmagic.
Okay, Tony Mobley from Noonan, Georgia asked, does Blackmagic Design's announcement mean anything for my ATEM Mini Pro?
Maybe a little bit, an audio interface, right? That's about it, Carl.
Yeah, that's right. So the audio interface. So going a little bit back to the Fairlight. So you now will be able to use the ATEM. It said ATEM Mini Pro, so I don't know about the vanilla SDI or the OG vanilla. They both have webcam outputs, but they may not get the update. But yeah, so anything, pretty much any ATEM that has webcam out will have. So that could be ATEM Mini Pro. That will get this audio interface mode. Now it's one or the other. And this is kind of standard, of course, and this was true for recording, so you couldn't do webcam and recording at the same time on one that only had a single USB. So if you have the Extreme, you have two USBs, and you can do webcam out and you can do audio interface. But if it's got a single USB, essentially it takes over the webcam, apparently. Well, actually, that's not true. I think it takes over the webcam regardless. So if you have two USBs, one will be a record, one will be audio interface or webcam. He did say it's either.
Well, you think there'd be no video? No video on the, you wouldn't get
what I'm
video
thinking is no. So he
audio?
did say it was either or. He did say that in there. So he said it very clearly. But I was thinking about
I missed that because I was listening at 1.8 times is what I was listening at.
So he did say, he said it's either the webcam out or the audio interface. So you do lose one or the other. But he didn't say on the Extreme. But the Extreme, so the Extreme has two USBs, of course, but one could be set to webcam and one could be set to record. But the thing is, I don't know whether we have to wait and see whether you can set one up as webcam, one up as audio interface. So we'll have to wait and see if that's the case. So
for audio interface, it acts as a client for anything that uses USB audio, like a
UVA, UVA.
Scarlett or any type of multi-channel USB audio interface will plug into it.
It is itself a USB audio interface. So the actual ATEM is the audio, but it is like the Scarlett. It doesn't connect to a Scarlett, so it's a client. So it's still got to connect to a computer, the host, but the client-based part of it, because it essentially acts like a Scarlett, you can't hook a Scarlett into it, so it's not accepting an audio interface.
Oh, so that's what I was going to say.
The ATEM itself is the audio interface.
As a USB Could you plug a USB interface into it, and it would ingest it into its HDMI pipeline? So it itself, the ATEM becomes an audio interface, which is a client, which has to hook up to a host, which would be a computer, an iPad, an iPhone, so on and so forth. There's a few Roland products that hook up to. Obviously, this would be a really interesting one as well, whether it could hook up to Paul Wallace. I'm sure we'll have this question. Can you daisy chain this particular ATEM now into a Rode video? Because the Rode video does accept. So it does accept as a host. So I'm sure Paul Wallace will have tried that. It's very limited as a host.
Work.
Yeah, but
Well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet because it doesn't work. But could it work as an audio interface? So could the Rode see it as an audio interface? But the reason that may not work is because I believe it still requires the software to control essentially the computer takes over the control of the audio engine inside the ATEM. So this is all these things need to be tested. The other thing that I'll go back just one tiny step if I bring it up. So this here
it's 4 hours tonight.
So this here is the Fairlight audio accelerator. So when Grant said you could run thousands of channels in Fairlight Live, you do need this thing on the left. So this is a PCI card you put into your computer, and it will convert it from, I think, like 128 tracks to 2,000 tracks. But you do need this. And this is identical to exactly how Pro Tools works. So Pro Tools works the same way.
Processor, yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
So it's essentially it's a processor. Yeah. So this is how all Pro Audio works, with the exception of Logic. Logic's the only one. That's why it's called Logic. It's the only one that runs 100% of the CPU and merging, but I won't get into that. Merging's a unique kind of setup. But they all require expansion cards to actually run high-end audio. So the DBX cards is what Avid uses, and Fairlight uses the accelerator. So anyone who's using Fairlight professionally would generally have one of these cards installed. Now, this was simply to process 2,000 channels of post-production, but you can also use this card now to. That's when Grant said it could handle thousands of channels. You will need to have this card installed. But anyone who's using Fairlight will know all the equipment I'm showing right now already. So this is kind of common. This stuff's been around for years.
I wonder, that specifically says Windows.
PCXPs, the Fairlight.
Yeah.
It works in the Mac Pro. Mm-hmm. If the Mac Pro survives.
It just said Windows on there, that's all. Windows OS.
Because the trash can, when it was released, it was trash can days. So that's when that product was released.
Okay.
It's back in the trash can days.
Right.
So there would have been.
Okay.
Trash can.
Well, all right. Well, there's some interesting days ahead. We'll get to play around. But to answer the question, Tony, in theory, it could be that there's multi-track audio coming off of your ATEM, which is different to just 2 channels of audio.
Yeah,
so it sort of can see it. Courtney, I think I saw your brain ticking over going, we've already got audio. Like it already sees audio. Like it already sees.
Right, always
2
has
channels
16 channels on each HDMI input, or SDI input,
Not
right.
Yeah,
but
on
not
the
coming
ATEMs,
out
though.
So program was always 2 channels
in, but you
so now we can get multi-channel out.
Yeah.
Now we can get multi-channel out.
Yeah.
That's definitely the case. So if you've got a ATEM Mini Pro, which would be technically 4 stereo channels coming in, plus a few others, because you're going to have program as well. So it's going to be very similar to something, like the Flow 8, which has 10 channels, multi-input, so it has 10 channels going via USB into a computer. That's what my Flow 8's doing right now. So it'd be very similar. It'd probably be 10, 12, probably somewhere between 10 and 16. I don't know how many it's going to do, but it'll be simultaneous channels into Fairlight Live. Hopefully, if it's showing up as a UVA product, then it can you can bring it into like Logic or anything else as well. It'll just show up as multi-channels. But obviously, Fairlight Live is the way it's probably controlling. I think the control part of it will be Fairlight Live, obviously.
Interesting. All right, next question. Something totally different.
All right, from Alan Scott in Frederica Clonton. I'm not sure where that is. Guy, did you have some technical issues recently?
Yeah, this one is a little bit of a drag. So I'm going to show you guys something on the share screen here, and Omar will appreciate this because he's the one who showed it to me. So we did a live stream at my church the other night, and the equipment hadn't come back yet because we're doing a remodel, and so they were rededicating the building. And they said, "Hey, we want to live stream this," and so I went over there, and they usually live stream with a YOLO box, so I unplugged the YOLO box, and they wanted to use Zoom this time, so you don't use the YOLO box, so I unplugged it and plugged it into this capture card, which is just a little generic capture card. Where did I put it? Anyways, here it is. It has a line and a mic level in, but the audio coming out of the wall was RCA to mini plug. And so what happened was it was distorted as it came in. So what I wanted to show you guys was this $9 a month piece of software is pretty amazing. So it's a podcast.adobe.com. So here's the audio before, which is overmodulated. So you ready to hear some bad audio? And now, and then here's the bad.
It's really cool. Now that's already processed it, right, Guy? Like as in that
when you upload it, it starts to process it, and it takes a little while. And there's just some really simple settings, but I had gone into Premiere and I was using Isotope and I was trying to rescue it. And this guy that does audio for the church, he was like, dude, good luck with that one. And so I tossed it in here, and it's pretty miraculous what podcast.adobe.com will do for you. So
does it also suppress music? I see those sliders there. Does it also suppress music's independent of background sounds and things?
Yeah, so you can tweak these and then listen to it and season to taste. And so if you have more dialogue, then you want more dialogue or more music. So I got to play with this still because they do sing at the beginning. So there's some kids singing. I don't know how bad this kid singing will be, but all the kids lined up. Let's see if that comes across.
Yeah, might get a bit confused by that.
Oh. Yeah, this guy was heavily distorted because he was eating that mic.
Wow.
I think it's just reconstructing their voice using AI.
It totally is, yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is. That's what it's doing.
Yeah, you can't fix that audio. Oh,
I just wondered if it could be used, if you get, sometimes you'll record something and somebody's playing copyrighted music in the background, if you can use that to suppress the copyrighted music and still pull the dialogue out without having to worry about a YouTube strike.
Anyways, I thought that would be a good learning experience for folks because I had brought in my backpack this guy, but I didn't install the software on my laptop, so I couldn't just plug it in the middle of the stream because it has software. I guess it would have been plug and play because now that I think about it, it is a UVC standard device, but I don't know if I would have been able to do this aux. So it's got mic in, it's got XLR in with Phantom, but it's also got an aux in. And so the next morning, our stuff wasn't still back in place, and I brought this, and it worked like a charm. So this thing's badass to have, and it offers great color. This is a HDMI, and this is what I'm using. You're seeing me through one of these right now. Very nice 1080p 60 device. In fact, today we're using 1080p 60. Do you guys notice any difference? 1080p 60.
What? I think I am as well.
Magic. Jazz hands.
I don't know that Carl is. Carl, I don't know that you are.
I think
you were coming in a little slow.
My ATEM, I think my ATEM is, but I think my camera is actually on because I've left my camera on with the settings I've been using it on. So I think that's 30.
Yeah.
So I think I'm 30 on the camera.
Might be 32.
I don't know. Zoom
I
is
don't know.
shortcutting.
We'll have to have a play around. Anyway, last question.
Okay, last one up comes from Craig Kadoki in Toronto, Canada. With the video chat channels in Discord now, will that become the new home of After Hours?
So this is something that my kid showed me. He was showing his 1440p screen sharing in Discord, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, my friends are watching me play," and I was like, how did you get that? And he's like, Mom pays for it. It's $9.99 a month. And I was like, I paid $9.99. So he was showing me that that's what the cool kids are doing is they're sharing their gameplay. And it's just a new way of transporting video around and sharing and being able to turn people up and down that you want to hear. So if you got multiple people in, you could screen share plus do video. And if you have the $9.95 account, or if enough people have boosted your server, which if anybody can boost ours one more, we can get a little higher resolution. So I think I think we're one short. Anyways, the After Hours will always be After Hours. It's got breakout rooms. It's got lots of bells and whistles. This is just another place. So we've taken a clue from the video engineering group. There's PL1, PL2, and for an event like NAB, it's really nice to be able to talk to people in a way that's just quick and dirty with an app, and you don't have to you do log in, but a lot of times you're in Discord anyway. So, and it tells you who or that somebody is active. So the little icon will change. If you have a bunch of Discord servers, you'll see it change with a little speaker or a little video or a little computer icon if somebody's screen sharing. So and if you're friends with one of those people, they pop to the top of your Discord inbox, so you can see when somebody's inside of that channel. So unlike After Hours, where it doesn't tell you who's in there, this does. So it's just another way, another tool, and we'll see how it all goes. This is fertile ground. It's like, let's just play and experiment and have fun and see what quality we get.
I think it's good when we know what we're using each tool for. And at the moment, After Hours works really well in Zoom. One of the things is, like, I subscribe to Twit, Leo Laporte. And when they're live, they live stream through Discord as well, and so you can watch the video there. What I've noticed though is that it's in sort of phone mode on the iPhone. It's so the audio isn't it's different. if I
you could
listen,
crank
I
it
end up
up
hearing
in the
it.
server settings. You could crank it up to 128, 384, so the admin can crank it up if you have server boosted. So the base no boost is like 64 kilobits, and then as you pay, as people who like your server give boosts, then you get higher quality.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and 100 megabyte. So right now our max file size upload is 50 megabyte. And we were doing some YouTube short stuff where I wanted the group to see these YouTube shorts, but they couldn't upload larger than 50. So a couple more people that boost our server will be able to do 100 megabyte uploads, which is nice. So if we're doing like little screen, tutorials or something, it's nice to throw them in Discord and have that greater bandwidth. So Discord becomes like a little file repository.
I've talked about this before, but there's a thing that I do on my phone that I really like. There's an app called Dual Tune or Dual Tune. It's free, and it just allows you to. The purpose of the app is to play two audio files at the same time, and you can change it's like multi-track. But the thing that happens is it sits in another layer in audio. On the device. And so for me, I can put dual tune on, set the volume at like 20%, and then listen to a podcast or or YouTube as an example, right? And so I can listen, and I often do. I listen to office hours as I'm going for a walk, but I have music playing as well at the same time. And the reason I say all of this is that when I go to Discord and listen to that live audio, it blows away everything else, which makes it much more like a phone call than it is like a live stream. And so I've listened to live streams on YouTube and have my audio going. And in fact, there's another layer as well, which is the background sounds. So I can put white noise, music, and a podcast on all at the same time,
and listen to it at 1.8x. So your brain's just getting like full overload.
The whale sounds at 1.8x.
That's right. I can sing to the music as well as listen to the podcast
and chew bubble gum.
That's right. Anyway, that was a nerd dive just then. All right. Content recommendations. Oh, sorry, Carl. Did you want to?
I just wanted to say that
word,
friend of office
20 minutes word.
So Nick Batt, who Sonic State Audio or sonicstate.com. So Nick Batt, who's been on the show a few times. So he's asked years ago about broadcasting into Discord. So if you're in Discord, Nick Batt's in our Discord as well. You can ask him questions because he actually plays with this quite a lot as far as his live shows. So he's pushing the edges of this. He's been broadcasting for about 2 years now into Discord. So he's figured out a lot of the gremlins, and he's asked us a lot of questions on the Daily Show as well about the gremlins he's come across in Discord. So Nick Batt may be someone you want to speak to as well if you have any questions.
Good one. All right. Content recommendations. Guy, what have you got?
It's funny. I was just listening to this on my watch on the way here at I think 1.5x. So I was in the sauna at the YMCA, and I was like, yeah, this is a cool episode. So the All In podcast, these guys are just amazing. I highly suggest subscribing to them either on Apple Podcasts. So if you have a watch, you can listen to them. But one of the things that they were really talking about was Mythos, which is the next version of Anthropic that's coming out. And the revenue run rate is one of the fastest, I think the fastest ever. They're now a $30 billion company in terms of revenue. So they're just blowing past OpenAI. So it's going to be amazing to see what happens. But these guys are very in tune with the market. So I'd suggest this latest episode called Anthropic's $30 billion ramp, and take a listen.
Nice one. I'm putting that on my watch list right now. Courtney, what have you got?
And go all in. Well, in case you missed it, the Blackmagic NAB 2026 update is right there, and you click on watch video and you can watch all 2 hours and 10 minutes of it. Put it on 0.75 if you want to absorb all the
half speed
stuff, and it'll last about 3 hours, or put it on 1.25 if you have Carl's brain and you want to absorb it at at a high speed. That's a suggestion if you want to catch up. The other thing I was going to suggest is there's a good documentary on Netflix called Patty Chayefsky, Collector of Words, about the writer Patty Chayefsky, which is an interesting documentary on him. Not about his personal life at all, just about his writings, etc.
Good one. Carl, what documentary series have you got?
So yeah, it's going to be it's a YouTube channel, so easy to access. It's called Invictus. So this guy is really interesting, and it's really just a single guy who does all this. He goes quite in depth into many different areas of history. So he's got a lot of great stuff on the Roman Empire, but also through medieval stuff and some modern stuff like First, Second World War, so 20th century history. One of the more interesting things he does is he also looks at history that's been portrayed in games. So a lot of games, so maybe not World of Warcraft, but he takes a look at certain types of games like Medal of Honor or Call of Duty, and he kind of looks at using those to explain history via them. And so he also looks at military units within games, which may not exist, may not line up one-to-one. So if you're into like games as well, he does do a few channels on games because obviously he's interested in gaming, but most of his stuff is based on real-world history. But he does look into like military units, and it's a lot of military stuff, so history via military is a lot of the ones, but his Roman stuff is great because he'll do like a day in the life of a housewife in Rome, and he'll go through a whole video of what they actually went through. And the really great thing is Pompeii, Herculaneum have given us all this history because it was frozen in time because of the volcano. But yeah, so a lot of that information has come out, but it's quite fascinating, his video. So there's a lot of military stuff, but there's also day in the life, like real day in the life, like day in the life of a merchant in Rome, just a simple businessman in Rome. What would their normal day consist of? And like how much tax would they pay? Because we know all the stuff. The beauty is stuff the Romans wrote all the stuff down, so we still have it all. But yeah, fascinating channel if you really want to go in depth into like a day in the life of someone at pretty much any point in history. He's got a really good channel for that.
Nice one. Well done. All right. We should wrap this one up. It was probably always going to be long because Carl was here. No, because because we had a big Blackmagic announcement, which there's still things that people are talking about in the chat. I've just caught up that Guy's amazing demo wasn't heard, so thank you.
Can we just play it one more time? Can we just play it real quick?
One more time.
Hit it, baby. Let's see. So I'm going to hit share screen, and then I'm going to hit screen 3, and it says share sound, and this time I'm going to hit original sound, and I'm going to hit play. Hopefully you guys are hearing that.
It's still not.
It's not going through Mimo Live? Oh, man. No. Bummer.
So, tune into the
Mimo dead.
What's good is that there's some good room for improvement after this show.
We can simulate the sound here. And this is what it sounds like when he... And this is what it sounds like when he flips the switch.
It is actually a really impressive demo, and Guy,
that's pretty much it.
It would be good. It would be good to post a little clip of it because, I guess it's actually quite an extreme example of how bad that audio is to start with, and then how clean it is after, and so it would be. It shows it off really well. So. But your screen share looked really good, so that's the main thing. We were able to see it really well.
So from a real world, I'm doing podcast recordings right now, and I'm simply using the Tascam, which does a 12 dB duck, so it records 2 tracks, one at what I think is correct, and the one that's 12 dB or 6 dB, I can choose it. So for me to go, okay, maybe do it. But now I'm thinking maybe, if I'm doing something live where I don't have that ability, and I need to fix it in post. Thank you, Guy, because this product looks quite nice for maybe $10 a month to fix. Because at the moment I'm doing all recordings, but I know there's going to become a time where I'm going to be doing live, and if I'm getting sound from my board that's terrible, at least I know I can fix it in post.
the way that I found out about it was Omar and I were doing like 30 interviews, and people were mostly showing up with an iPhone, and we told them, and we're recording in Zoom with Zoom ISO, and we told them disable. So we coached them through in Tech Check how to disable and all the compression and then turn on original sound. And then we took that and ran it through Adobe Podcast, because a lot of them were in these echoey kitchens and whatnot. And it did an amazing job. So for $10, I mean, it's a fabulous tool, super simple. I mean, you don't even have to touch a thing. You just upload the file and then kick it back out and put it in Premiere or whatever, and you're rocking.
Isn't it? Rolling. It's included in the cloud though too, right? Creative Cloud?
I think so. With the Creative Cloud, if you pay the $40, $50 for the whole thing. I just have Premiere and this.
And Courtney, I don't think it's available in the version 3 of the Adobe suite that you have.
Oh,
it's not. No, it wasn't on those floppy disks.
Yeah. I don't even have the suite. Photoshop 7.1.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, that is a subscription-based thing.
And I have Cool Edit, which is what Adobe Audition was before it was Adobe Audition.
Oh yeah, I remember
Cool Edit Pro. Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. It was fun. All right. Sorry. I want to say a big thank you and a sorry to the back end crew, Taylor, Robert, Alan, and Peter, that were making all things happen here while we've been chatting away and having fun. They're making it all work. Appreciate your work and playing around with it. We were pushing 60 frames a second out of Zoom, and a bit of a higher bandwidth from us as well, and Mimo Live is doing nicely there, and so we'll keep playing around with how that works. We can do a bit of a deep dive into that at some point. We should get Taylor on; he can chat about it at some point as well. So anyway, thank you all for the questions. It was nice to see all the comments in the chat, and join us again next week. We have got the Tlaloc Traversal. Episode 2211. Well, that's not just it's not just extra hours though, is it?
Wow, if you're dyslexic, it's almost 2110. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. 15,000 miles, 25,000 kilometers, 121 million bananas of scale. Doesn't sound as many as it has been sometimes. Awesome. Oh yeah, tomorrow night. Oh, there you go. Robert just informed me that Taylor is the guest on tomorrow night's Tuesday Focus, which is cool. So you'll be able to chat all about it then. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you every day in office hours and next week with extra hours. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Catch us in after hours right now. Bye.
After hour correction.